Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to another video where we are talking about the article Literature Review of and for Educational Research, a commentary on Boot on Biles Scholars Before Researchers by Joseph A. Maxwell. I am Robin and I have with me Ms. Meeting Chen. We are students in the Learning Sciences program at McGill University and we're going to be discussing this article today. So, to start off, Meeting, why don't you tell us what is the main idea of this article, like what's going on here?
Oh, right. So this article of Maxwell is basically just a commentary on Wood and Bella's article, Scholars Before Researchers.
Okay.
So Maxwell talked about the criteria of how to write and assess our literature review, the role and the purpose of it. It's both for the dissertation and for the research preparation. And also he kind of talked about an interesting fact, is the situation call, that the doctoral students are only receiving minimal formal training and guidance from the faculty, and probably also from the published sources. And then he provided some suggestions on practical implications on how we can train ourselves in writing up the literature review. And what I really like about this article is its title. It's called Literature Review of and for Educational Research. And you see he uses so many references in his own article. And as you can see, the way he is using them showed exactly the criteria he's talking about.
Wow.
So, okay, Robin, because regarding to the assessment of literature review, we just talked about he has these criteria.
Yeah.
So, what are the criteria as he disagrees with Wood and Bailey, and what he talks about relevance?
Yeah, that's an important thing. So, well, what Maxwell outlines the aspect of relevance as one of the key criteria for literature review at the doctoral level. This is something that they point out was missed out by Boot and Bile, and that's their primary criticism of the article by Boot and Bile. Maxwell says that relevance as a criterion was not included by Boot and Bile in their evaluation of good literature reviews, and hence the standards proposed by them are inappropriate, in his opinion. In the context of literature review, Maxwell goes on to define relevance as something which covers previous work having important implications for the design, for the conduct and interpretation of the study, and not simply dealing with the topic. So the study that the doctoral level student is supposed to do, the literature review, in his opinion, is supposed to serve a purpose of being relevant to their study in multiple aspects of what they're going to do. As we move forward, Meeting, why don't you talk about the role and purpose of literature review as outlined by Maxwell in the article?
Okay, so the stance taken by Maxwell is with the group that argues for the role of the exercise, and that consisting of a selective review of the literature relating directly to what the students plans to do. So the purpose, in their opinion, is not just to summarize or say to synthesize some body of the literature, but to use the literature to inform and support the design of the study, and to provide a foundation to identify the gaps and indicate how their study can move beyond what has already been done.
Yeah.
So talking about this, Robin, what do you think are the challenges to practice these principles of literature review?
Well, again, the challenge with the view of Boot and Weil that Maxwell identifies is that of looking at literature review as foundational, and the ability of a student to synthesize previous research around their topic of study as the focal activity of pre-dissertation doctoral education. And what they propose is an alternative view of the review exercise as that which provides a conceptual framework to students' research and is used to inform and interact with other aspects of their study, including its design, methodology, interpretations, and even analysis, rather than being the basis or starting point of their research. So this is something that Maxwell proposes should be the primary objective of literature review exercise at the doctoral level. And Meeting, again, could you talk about other references and literature that Maxwell themselves used to support their argument?
Okay, he uses many of them, and they're excellent ones. But there is one reference that led me the deepest impression. I guess it's on the second page of his article. It's one article of Crethwell and Smith in 2005, describing the essential tasks of a literature review for a dissertation proposal. I mean, we all need to take the comprehensive exam at one time or another. So I think this might be practically helpful. So in this article, he puts the task of literature review like this. First of all, you need to survey a select group of studies that can provide a foundation for your proposed project. And then you need to discuss the studies in detail, and it has to be sufficient enough to provide an understanding of their relevance and the rationale and everything. And then you need to describe how they can contribute to your study. And then last, you need to indicate how your study can move beyond them. Just to fill the gap. All right, so the most important thing of this article, I think, is about the practical implication. So Robin, how about you tell us something about what practical implications did Maxwell provide for the students that can train their ability in writing the literature review?
Yeah, that's right. Even like for us, I feel like that was the important aspect that we take from the article as well. And Maxwell provides some useful strategies and tips for students at the end. They argue that students should perceive the literature review exercise as a conceptual framework instead of a traditional review of literature. A framework which provides a model for their study, and then using this framework to inform other aspects of their research, again, like I said, like I mentioned previously, like its goals, methods, validity concerns, in fact. Students should perceive the review as a tool which they can use for their study. For example, for building arguments, should constantly look for things that they can use. Another technique suggested by them is concept mapping, like an actual visual map for building connections between previous research and their own. And finally, they suggest further using the concept map to outline the argument of their proposal or dissertation. So these were some of the tips that that Maxwell mentioned in their article. Of course, I will encourage our viewers to read the full article, which we will have in description, and the original Boot and Bile article as well, to which Maxwell responded. I guess that was our summary. Thank you for taking out the time, and thank you, Meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Robin, and good luck everyone with your literature review and also probably for your comprehensive exams. Bye.